see the positive time because there were 140 viruses here today. So I never suggest using the thing except in the shop. फिर कैसे करेंगे?
I don't know. सब
Think
पेन ड्राइव में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
नया वाला.
हाँ, मैं आपको डाल के दे सकती हूँ.
Okay. So I have one of the pen drives with newer. I'll see. If you put it in your computer, then it will tell you whether it has a virus, no?
I have a Mac platform. I work on Apple, and you are probably working on PC.
Yes.
So there are some differences of viruses.
But
आप अगर दोगे तो there is a big
I can get in IC it.
करा दो और आप मुझे दे दो पेन ड्राइव में डाल दो.
Okay, so you see the connector for this. You see this connector? Okay. Okay, just push it. Push it for about 10 minutes. सही push it up. Very easy. Press this. Okay, I'll press this and you push it up. Now put it back. Push it down. Push it down. It says go. Right down. Now it's done. Okay. Now set it again. So now the volume is starting to check this.
folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all within the religious. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all the mysteries gloom. Okay, thank you. Please take your seats. Okay, setting a proper motivation with 3 points: refuge field, what to visualize, how to visualize, and bodhicitta field, what to visualize and how to visualize. And the purpose of this practice is to actualize or to awaken the seed of perfection, which is also referred to as the Buddha nature that exists within each one of us, no matter who we are. Anyone who has our mind should necessarily have this Buddha nature, irrespective of what religion that you're following, irrespective of what creed you belong to, irrespective of what ethnicity. Anyone who has this mind should necessarily have this Buddha nature. So temporarily, it is obscured by the mental defilements. It is by cleansing these defilements that the Buddha nature will one day become the fully blossomed enlightenment, where you are least affected by external factors and that you experience the bounties of happiness eternally. And imagine that you are leading this and all sentient beings are happily joining you, and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. With that in mind, let's turn to page 3. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Kange doze nyesone tawa tamche pamberichir tambe chune tuenzemba godam dala chaselo. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the Concept Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. Hangi Denjin De Warajun, Gaba Meba Ke Meba, Cheba Meba Ta Meba, Uwa Meba Jo Meba, Tade Deme Dunje Me, Tuba Nye She She Denba, Zobe Sangye Manamgi, Tamba De La Cha Se Lo. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes of happening migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound the varieties of teachings. Nyendo Jeva Sonam Gunshe Nige Nyenshe Tinze Kanye Nam Dola Pembara Chenam Namshe Nige Jigden Tundub Zebak Kanda Yanda Dembe Top Nam Namba Gunde Naso De Somba Nyendo Chanju Sembe Soje Sangye Gen Nyumde La Chase Lo. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teachers who guide and protector to your prostrations. Semara Gyurba Dola Penjeba, Demba Deje Gyola Chase Lo. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha make prostrations. Tobe Tawa Namse Jin, Sajin Gaje Gungawa, Kundo Sambo Yesed, Kuna Tola Chase Lo. I go for refuge and feel enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. On the accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. On the accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. On the accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Joda Soge Tane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamge Jola Benjir Sangye Jubaresho Sangye Choda Soge Chonamda Chanju Bardo Tane Gyapsu Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamge Jola Benjir Sangye Jubaresho Sangye Choda Soge Chonam Kanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Gebe Sonamge Jola Benjir Sangye Jubaresho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generally demand a full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shantata Gato Yavatar Esham Chayo Nirodha Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shantata Gato Yavatar Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shantata Gato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful elaborations, free, clear light, and non-composites. Such is nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I return to the words. Sabshi Tode Vese Dumaje, Duze Dabu Chushi Kunye, Sula Shegang Huara Minube, Mema Nage Nasu Nebaraja. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unseen, and has the nature of space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, of the 3 times, I bear obeisance. Mazam Jume Shera Paruje, Magi Mega Namge Mwonye, Soso Rari Shiju, Yusum Geve Yumla Chase Lo. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. Lama Sangya Lama Che, Deshin Lama Gendunde, Kunge Shebu Lama Lama Namla Chase. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expansive billions of aeons. Chunga Chembo Dayen Keba Cheba Samyesu Chuden Zeji Shu. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by the teaching of the truth of suchness that the beings are liberated. Tonam Deva Chue Me Jojin, Dove Dongye Chage Me Sela, Nige Toba Shenla Pomin, Tunye Demba Dembe Chubara Yuru. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. Chönam Gunge Sangyala, Temo Jarde Soani, Simjen Dunge Mundum, Tuge Jume Bardus. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. Or if you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay. Okay, in praise to 17 Nalada Pandits, page 19. Sun illuminating the threefold trade. Born from great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the savior state of abandonment and realization, and to guide beings through the discourse of dependent origination. O able one, son of speech, I bow my head to you. I implore you, O Nagarjuna, most skilled in elucidating suchness free of elaborations, the meaning of sutras, the mother of conquerors, through the profound reasoning of dependent origination, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, you initiated the middle way, the supreme vehicle. I implore you to your principal son, Bodhisattva Aryadeva, most learned and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist tennis systems, and is the crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises. I implore you, O Buddha Palita, who has reached the supreme adept state and who has clearly elucidated out of Nagarjuna's intent, the fundamental meaning of dependent origination, the profound point of mere designation as mere label. I implore you, O Master Bhava Viveka, fully accomplished Pandita, who initiated the philosophical tradition wherein, while negating extremes of truly existing things, arising and so forth, you uphold commonly verified knowledge and extreme external reality. I implore you, O Chandrakirti, who disseminated all the paths of the sutras and tantra, you are most skilled in teaching the profound and the vast aspects of the middle way, the union of appearance and emptiness, dispelling the two extremes by means of dependent origination, that is mere conditionality. I implore you, O Bodhisattva Shantideva, skilled in revealing to the assembly fusion of spiritual trainees, excellent power of compassion that is greatly wondrous, through a multitude of reasoning most profound and vast. I implore you, O Master Albert Chandarakshita, who initiated the tradition of the non-dual middle way in accordance with the trainees' mental dispositions. You are versed in the reasoning modes of the both middle way and the logic, and you disseminated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Kamalashila, you who, having explained excellently the stages of meditation of the middle way view free of elaborations, and the union of triangulating insight in accordance with the Sutra and Tantra, flawlessly elucidated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Asanga, you who are sustained by Maitreya, were versed in disseminating excellently all Mahayana scriptures, and trod a vast path, and who accord with the conqueror's prophecy, initiated tradition of mind only. I implore you at your feet, O Master Vasubandhu, You who, while upholding the system of the 7 Abhidharma treatises as well as non-duality, illuminated the tenets of Vaibhashika, Sautrantika and the mind only. Foremost among the learned ones who are renowned as the second omniscient one. I implore you at your feet, O Dignaga, the logician, you who in order to present the Buddha's path through evidence-based reasoning, open a 100-fold gateway of the system of logic and offered as a gift to the world the eyes of critical intelligence. I implore you at your feet, O Dharmakirti, you who understanding all the essential points of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and the vast parts of Sautrantika and mind only by means of reasoning. You are most versed in teaching the excellent Dharma. I implore you at your feet, O Arya Vimuktisana, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament treatise, wherein the themes of the professional wisdom stemming from Asanga and his brother were expounded in accord with the middle way view through existence or non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhatra, who were prophesied by the conqueror as expounder of the meaning of the mother, the professional wisdom. You elucidated the excellent treatise on the professional wisdom, the 3 mothers, in perfect accord with the instruction of the Savior Maitreya. I implore you at your feet, O Gunaprabha, the most excellent in both integrity and scholarship, who having excellently distilled the intent of 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation vows flawlessly according to the tradition of Sarvastivada school. I implore you at your feet, O Shakyaprabha, supreme upholder of discipline, who reign over the treasure of the qualities of the 3 trainings in order to disseminate the Sena Vinaya teachings for a long time. You excellently expounded the meaning of the vast treatises. I implore you, O Jyotisha, you have related to the words of the Buddha, within the framework of the path of the persons of 3 capacities, were the most kind master disseminating the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus entreated these most learned ornaments of the world, excellent sources of wondrous and insubtle teachings, may be blessed so that the mind becomes ripened and free. Through the entreaty are made with a mind unwavering and pure, by understanding the 2 truths of ontological reality, will be ascertain how through the 4 truths we enter and leave samsara. I will make firm the faith in the 3 jewels that is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed to perfect the training in renunciation and aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering at its origin, as well as in an uncontrite bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion that wishes to protect all sentient beings. May I be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound points of the perfection and Vajra vehicle, by engaging in study, reflection and meditation on the meaning of the treatises of the great trailblazers. May I in all life of life attain excellent birth that support the 3 trainings and contribute to the teachings that equals the great trailblazers, in upholding and disseminating the teachings of scripture and realization, through engaging in exposition and meditative practice. May the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection and meditation, shining wrong livelihood through the proliferation of sublime masters. May the great face of the earth be beautified throughout all times. Through the power of this supplication, may I traverse the paths of Sutra and Tantra and swiftly attain the state of conqueror's omniscience, characterized by spontaneous realization of the 2 purposes. May I work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains. Okay. Last time we were on page 59. Okay. At the 2 truths. So this is according to which school? Yogacara Svatantra Madhyamika. Okay. Phenomena are classified into ultimate truth and conventional truth. The definition that you find here is much more the same as given by Chittamatra and will be same as given by Prasangika. The definition is much more the same. But okay, first let's go ahead with this. Definition of ultimate truth. an object which is cognized by the direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. Okay, so there are two common definitions. Both are much more the same. So here it says an ultimate which is cognized, and an object which is cognized by the direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. So can you check the definition given by Chitamatrans?
50.
Page 50. Okay, say the page 50, stanza 3, definition of ultimate. This is dissolving the appearance of duality. Ultimate truth, definition of ultimate truth, an object which is found by valid cognition of analytical awareness, which investigates the ultimate. Okay, so this definition and definition given here, in fact, the Chittamatra, Svatantra Madhyamika, Prasangika, they give the definition of ultimate truth in both ways. I say some scholars give the definition the way given in Chittamatra, even while you define the two truths according to the Madhyamika definition is given, the way it is defined by the Chittamatrans here in this context. And whereas other scholars would give it the way it is given here. So we need to know this, and don't feel that, okay, this is wrong, this is right. Both are correct. And then when you go into the nuances, so there one should be very thorough. Okay, so let's say what is given here as an object which is cognized by the direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. If you could quickly go back to how the definition was given by Chittamatrans. And that too, again, it differs between not just Chittamatrans in the context of this scholar, the author, Venerable Kunja Jigme Bambo. According to him, this is the definition given there. But two definitions, they are not contradictory. These two are just the same. So, but how we understand them slightly differently, and hit the same target. So what it says here in page 50, the definition of the ultimate truth, an object which is found by valid cognition of analytical awareness, which investigates the ultimate. So last time, what we're talking about is that okay, where's the flower? It's in your hand. So this is the conventional analysis. You cross the conventional. After seeing the flower, still you ask whether it exists externally, internally, or it exists amongst the atoms. The moment you cross the border of conventionality, then this analysis becomes ultimate analysis. The valid cognition, valid awareness, cognizing or say analyzing the ultimate. So this mind which investigates the ultimate, whatever it finds, whatever object it finds, that becomes the ultimate truth. This is according to the definition given there in the Chittamatra school by the author, this particular author. So this is how we understand it. So whereas here, according in the Svatantra Madhyamika, according to this author, so both the definitions given by any scholar from any of the three schools, Chittamatra, Svatantra Madhyamika, and Prasangika. Okay, so whereas here, page 59, definition for ultimate truth, an object which is cognized by direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. Okay, so there, let's say that, okay, a same object and the subject. We are examining whether the object is ultimate truth or conventional truth. So object is the subject. This subject, when we analyze whether the object is ultimate reality or conventional reality, the subject that we employ in terms of the pertaining to the definition, the subject should be the direct perception, direct valid cognition, not just the mental or say the conceptual mind, not conceptual mind. It should be direct mind. So it says there is an object which is cognized by direct valid cognition, right? direct perceiver, not only direct perceiver, but a valid cognition. It should not be, say, a non-discerning direct perception, right? It should be a direct valid cognition, two things. Now, cognizing it, so when this direct valid cognition and the object that we are analyzing, the flower, to see whether flower is the, say, the what, ultimate truth or conventional truth, then you see how the subject, direct valid cognition as the subject, interacts with the object, the flower. So in the process of this interaction, if this subject, a very unique subject, which unique, in what way it is unique? It should be a direct valid cognition. Two characteristics must be fulfilled. So this direct valid cognition, when it cognizes a flower, in the process of this cognition, when this cognition, then the duality dissolves. In some cases, duality does not dissolve. In some cases, duality dissolves. It becomes like water mixed with water, right? For example, say, one would be, say, you have the, say, your body. Your body has a particular body temperature. And then the water that you take shower with, the water temperature and the body temperature, these two are same. Then if you close your eyes and you put the water on your body, you don't feel that water is there on your body. Because the two, you see the oneness. Oneness meaning that you see that there's no water there, right? There's no, you don't feel it because the temperature is same. So you see that the two things, the duality, say the body, and then you put a cold water. Now, particularly nowadays, cold water, you could feel it. The cold is the same. The body as the perceiver, and the cold water as perceived. Two things. Object-subject duality is there. Oh, it's so cold. Whereas the temperature is same. You don't feel it. Subject-object duality dissolves. You do not at all feel it. Likewise, say the valid direct perception, when that mind cognizes the object, this duality dissolves, then the object is ultimate truth. If the duality does not dissolve, then the object is conventional truth. Okay, so you are seeing this flower. So what perception is used by you to see this flower? Direct, valid perception is used. Okay, so now in future this is another skill that you have to learn. So when I ask this question, which perception are you using? When I ask this, don't try to bring in any perception or mind is used. So in the context of what we are studying, okay, he's asking direct valid cognition. This is what we have, what we have already learned. Direct valid cognition, two characteristics. So the moment I ask this question, you should get the sensitivity that he's asking that. You're getting it? So the moment you give like this, then the articulation comes in the mind. Articulation, and it becomes very fast in your thinking. Okay. So when you see this flower, what perception do you use? Direct valid perceptions use. So this direct valid perception within you, it cognizes the flower. When it cognizes the object, the duality dissolves, or you see the duality. What do you mean by seeing the duality? That the flower is the object there, away from me, and my direct valid perception, direct valid cognition is the subject which is further away from the flower. So there's a duality, two things. One is the object, one is the subject, two things there. So when that happens, then the object is what? That is conventional truth. Whereas in the case of the emptiness, when the subject is emptiness, and if the subject that you use is valid, say what? Direct valid cognition is what you're using as a subject. You use this, and the object is your emptiness. Then what happens? This is emptiness. This is my mind perceiving the emptiness. This duality dissolves. You don't see this duality, right? In this experience, you don't see the emptiness as the object. You don't see your mind as the subject. There's as well like water mixed with water. The duality dissolves. Okay, in this connection, I like to also share with you one very important point. Oftentimes, people have the misunderstanding. and sometimes some people who are exposed to Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, not just Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, for so many years, like 20, 30 years, still they cannot make the distinction. They think that say the non-duality, as explained in the Advaita Vedanta, is same as the Buddhist concept of emptiness. This is what many people think, and they say that this was sin. And in fact, Advaita Vedanta is something which is newly developed. It's something which is newly developed. It's not the original thing. So it came later with the teacher of Adi Shankara, right? With the teacher of the the Shankara, yes, Adi Shankara. Adi Shankara, yeah. Adi Shankara. Short form is Shankara, yeah, this is how it is said. Adi Shankara, Adi Shankaracharya, right? So his teacher, he learned from Buddhist philosophy. He learned from Aranagarjuna's text about this concept, which is, of course, very impressive, and many people are drawn towards this. So this is what I learned. This is what I learned, say, many years ago, and then just about 2-3 years ago, when I was in NIAS, National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bangalore. So there, a book was distributed freely. It was being freely distributed, and it was about the various Hindu philosophies, written by one scholar. I don't know how scholarly the author is, but by a scholar. And then I just took it and browsed through. So somehow it came to that point. Then it very clearly stated what earlier I only heard. I did not see any material there. So in that book, he wrote it very clearly that the Adi Shankara's teacher, I forgot his name. So there he very clearly stated, the author very clearly stated that he learned from Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, the concept of the emptiness. And then Adi Shankara, he learned from his teacher. And then the Advaita Vedanta came into being. So Vedanta is there, and then very recently I was very surprised that I was in a conference, and in that conference, the scholars there, they were totally against Advaita Vedanta. They said, oh, this is what Adi Shankara said, this is his version, this is not the real version of the Vedanta. So all the debates are there. So whatever is the case, we still need to know the distinction between, although it was learned, Adi Shankara and his teacher learned from Buddhism, still they presented the concept of the Advaita, the non-duality, is not exactly how interpreted by Aranagarjuna. There is a big difference. This we have to know. Otherwise, at one point, I was really surprised. Somebody who was already, there's no need for me to mention the name, somebody who was already into the Buddhist philosophy, a very sincere practitioner of Buddhist philosophy, like about more than 20-25 years, listening to the concept of the non-duality from Advaita scholar, came to me and said that this is exactly what the Prasangika Madhyamika says. So this is where we are going wrong. So here, and of course the context, the best context would be the Prasangika's version of non-duality. But then, if I say this now, that will be very helpful later on. You can extend it to Prasangika. Otherwise, the best situation would be Prasangika's version of non-duality. So the thing is non-duality. This is very important. So what it says here is definition of ultimate truth, page 59. An object which is cognized by the direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. Right? Dissolve appearance of duality, what happens? Duality dissolves, then what happens? Non-duality comes into being. Non-duality. Right? In other words, we can see, because that, how I put it, actually, if I were to put it in my own words, I would say that valid cognition, cognizing it in a non-dual form. This is how I would put it, but this would be, what is said here is a very standard version. very standard version of putting. So therefore, I don't want to alter it. I want to keep it as in the original form, to be loyal to the author and to the very system itself. Because how I would put would be more to suit the modern day people, right? To make it very easy. Okay, so the point is that, say, it says an object which is cognized by the direct value cognition, cognizing this object by way of dissolving the appearance of duality, by way of in a non-dual way. Okay, so this non-duality between object and subject, this is what we need to know, how that is understood in the Buddhist context of the Madhyamika philosophy, and how it is understood in the Advaita Vedanta. Right? This is so important. Otherwise, many people, they get confused and they think that these two are same. And particularly, some of the professors who just studied all these things through reading books and then teach their students without getting any proper training. So they would just outrightly say that these two are just the same. What Nagarjuna said is actually said by Advaita Vedanta. So this is actually where we are going wrong. So that, in fact, if this distinction can be made, you will find the joy of philosophy. It's not that the Buddhist philosophy is superior, no matter what the Adi Shankara he learned from the Buddhism. It doesn't matter. The point is still we need to know what is the non-duality. What is the non-duality? Whosoever said it doesn't matter. What is the non-duality? Experiencing of which your negative emotions dissolve. That is required. That is so important, right? So whereas the duality dissolves, but negative emotions still remain, it does not have that effect. What's the point? So the point is, whoever said it, it doesn't matter. Whether Buddha said it, or whether whoever said it, it doesn't matter. The point is, we have to get something with which, experience on which your negative emotions dissolve. That is required. Okay, for that matter, so duality has a connotation of the object, two things. Duality means two things. Dual. What two? Object and subject. The two, duality, object and subject. Now, let's say my right hand symbolizing the subject, my left hand symbolizing the object. So there's a two there, two hands, dual hands. So there, now this non-duality can have two connotations. Where, same, okay, let's say three connotations. In the loose sense. Then we will say that we will come to see that the three connotations can be some of the merged into two connotations. One is, okay, of the two hands you dissolve the left. What is left now? Only one is left. That is non-dual. Duality is dissolved. One. Now another way is not only dissolve my left hand, you also dissolve right hand. Again the duality dissolves. This is also non-duality. Two. Number three, the two hands merge together. They become one. Again the two dissolves. It becomes one. One is absent of two, absent of duality. Again it's non-duality. Now, according to, say, the Advaita Vedanta's understanding of the non-duality, is that the Paramatma, the ultimate cosmic consciousness, and the individual, say, the individual consciousness, and all the samsaric, the world. So they are all mayas. And through experiencing this ultimate consciousness, all this maya will dissolve into the Paramatma. So what will be left is only the Paramatma will be left. So it is like either in the form of, say, the Paramatma and the Jivatma and the other things, the external world. So these two things, either in the form of these things just seen as like the, say, the way the Chittamatharans understand, that everything is just the nature of your mind. The reflection of the mirror is nothing but the nature of the mirror. When you realize this, then you, in your experience, you see that everything merges with the Paramatma, and then you are left with only Paramatma. So Paramatma, Jivatma, this duality dissolves. So finally what is left is Paramatma, one way. And then what is seen as the Maya, the external world, Maya. So when you realize this, that this illusion dissolves. The Maya means the illusory, the dream or illusion dissolves automatically. Say when you have a hallucination, when you start hallucinating, and then when your mind is rectified by the medication, then hallucination disappears. It doesn't dissolve into the whole mind. It disappears. The hallucination disappears, right? Disappears. Likewise, the Maya dissolves. What is left is Paramatma is left. So Paramatma with Paramatma is just single. It's unitary. It does not have the duality. It does not have the plurality. It's just single thing is left. Paramatma is left. So that is the non-dual. Earlier you see the duality, that I, you, this, Paramatma, me, the Jivatma, all these things are there. So this duality there. When you experience the Paramatma in its true form, then the Maya dissolves. What is left is only the Paramatma is left. So when the single thing is left, there is no two. So the duality dissolves. This is known as Advaita, non-duality. Right? This is one way. Whereas in the Buddhist context, whether from the Svatantra Madhyamika or the Prasangika point of view, and Chittamatra is slightly different, there is a debate between different scholars, but let me say, precisely from Madhyamika point of view, and more precisely from the Prasangika point of view, what happens is that the object, the way we understand the Shiri Heruka sadhana, okay, where is it? Page 206. Page 206. Okay, page 206 in the end. Okay, this will tell us how one understands non-duality according to Buddhism, and precisely the Madhyamika, and more precisely Prasangika Madhyamika, right? Okay, Shiri Heruka. So there, okay, this, don't forget it. In fact, I would say that I would very much encourage that if you get a glimpse of what emptiness is from Prasangika point of view, see how much we can utilize this passage, Shiri Heruka Sadhana, and the abstract in your own practice. And this is a very auspicious, very precious, and very blessed the passages. Okay. So Shiri Heruka, this is the name of the deity, Buddha, actually Buddha, and they manifested in a particular form known as Shiri Heruka. So the Buddha chose the name of this deity as Shiri Heruka. And even for the Buddhas, look at how compassionate they are to really benefit the beings, even choosing the name of his various manifestations. We see that there's always a purpose there. Even choosing the name is just to benefit the beings. So, for example, let's say Shiri Heruka, right? Say how the negative emotions arise. Say in the desire realm, it's mainly with your mind as the subject and the external world as the object, the five sensory objects and the five sensory consciousnesses. So the consciousnesses, the subject, your mind as the subject, interacts with the five sensory objects, and the various emotions arise. And then these various emotions, they give rise to the negative contaminated karmas, and they give rise to miseries. So this is how miseries come to being. We see that this all happens out of the interaction between the object and the subject. One. Then in the form and the formless realm. Form and formless realm, And in the formal system is mainly the interaction not between the sensual objects and the sensual consciousness and the sensual objects, but more between the mental consciousnesses and the internal experiences of the object. Mental consciousness as the subject and the internal experiences of the samadhi, experience of the bliss, experience of the peace as your object. So there's interaction of the object and subject happening in the formal realm. In the Dvisa realm, it is mostly the sensual objects. Sensual objects interacting with the, sensual consciousnesses, sensory consciousnesses interacting with the sensual objects. Then these input that you get from the sensory objects through the sensory, the consciousnesses are being transpired or being transmitted into the mental consciousness, and then processes and the emotions arise. Okay. In both cases, we see that there's an interplay of the object and subject. Interplay of object and subject. As long as you are in samsara, whether in the desire realm, form realm, formless realm. So this interplay of the object and subject then gives rise to the emotions. Emotions give rise to karmic karmas, give rise to samsara. Now the Shiri Heruka, we see that, okay, Shiri Heruka, they are 4 syllables. 4 syllables, Shiri Heruka. Okay, we begin by Heruka. So this interplay of the object and subject. So there is an ignorance in how we view the object and how we view the subject. There's ignorance pertaining to how we view the object and how we view the subject. So while nothing exists objectively, we view the object as objectively real. While nothing exists objectively, we view the subject as objectively real. So these are the ignorances. And because that these are the 2 levels of ignorance, now we have to discount these 2 levels of ignorance by introducing the counter force, which is the wisdom. So the wisdom to see the reality of the object, and the wisdom to see the reality of the subject. You getting it? Okay. Now the wisdom to see the reality of the object, we see that this is so important. This is so important. So what it says here is that, say, object. How do we see the object? How do we see the object? Is our consciousness, as the mind. The mind which sees the object. So the medium through which we as the beings, I experience happiness, I experience miseries. This I and the object, the medium is the consciousness or the mind. The mind. So without the mind, then there's no way by which I can get access to the objects. You agree with me? So the mind is like the medium through which the person interacts with the objects. Okay. Now we see that it is like, say, the dreaming mind. The dreaming mind, all the dream contents, when you wake up, all the dream, what happened to the dream contents? They will all disappear. They will all be like pulled back into the mind. The mind, and it will like the waves going back into the ocean. When the wind stops, the waves will all go back to the ocean, and the ocean will become very placid and serene. Right? Okay, likewise, all the content of the dreams, they will be pulled back into the dreaming mind, and the dreaming mind wakes up. So in short, all the contents of the dream, they go back to the original source, which is the dreaming mind, which is the mind. Likewise, say this is extremely important concept, which usually does not occur, you don't find much of this mentioned. Okay, so the point is that, say, we interact with the, for example, say, what's the color of this flower? Red, right? Okay, what makes you think that the color of this flower is red? In case, to see this as red, there must be the external source of light. You agree? Depending on what external source of light depending on what the external source of light is, then the color of the flower will be demonstrated, displayed, right? Okay, this is so important. At the moment when we look at it, we see it's a red, we see it as intrinsically red. We don't see it as the, say, dependent on the external light, particular external light, right? I do remember I did mention this in the class several years ago when I was very young in school. For the first time, the fluorescent, I think what is that? Fluorescent light? Huh?
Neon light.
Neon light, what color?
Blue.
They say the orange, it was orange. It was the first time that light was, okay, the Kandila should be telling us more. What light is that? Huh? Okay, the Kandila is engineer, yeah. Okay, so say this light, the first time this huge street light was put up there, our schools, TCV schools, the basketball ground, and we were all into the main hall for evening prayer, whatever. Then I was putting on, I was a very young boy, maybe age 7, I think maybe 7 or 8. And then I used to have say what is that, tracksuit coat, what is that? Jacket, tracksuit jacket. And it was, I think it was color, I think it was, in the daylight it was blue. Blue. And then coming out, I saw that the color was like, purple. I was so fascinated. How come that my jacket, the color has changed? And then I came to know that this light is something new, which came just in few days. It's so funny. So, what was really going in my mind? A kind of, not really a shock, but really surprise came to my mind. So now after learning all this philosophy, I can say that a tinge of a thought was coming to me that the color was not intrinsic. The blue color of my coat was not intrinsic. This was what was coming to my mind with this shock, with this surprise. No, it can't be like this. Actually, this was happening. And then, if it was the case that time, if there's a philosopher, Buddhist philosopher, who would tell me, that, okay, boy, look, amazing, that's very good. Now look, this is not intrinsic. For sure, I would be introduced to philosophy. I would be so much into philosophy that since then, I would be pretty confident with this. But unfortunately, it did not happen. Yeah, so let us pray that in the next lives, when such incidents happen, that may you be met with the philosopher, who can really introduce you to look, this is how there's nothing intrinsic there, right? Okay, so the point is that we see this as red, but we see it as red as so intrinsically there, right? Only when you're exposed to different colors. If the sunlight is this, the fluorescent light, this light, then for sure what is blue will all be seen as the violet or what purple, right? This is what is bound to be seen. Then you will say that what is the color of this mug? You will say it's a violet or it's a purple. You will say this. Now when we ask you, I will say this is blue. You will say that it's a blue there. Okay. So from this we see that what is really there is just nothing how your mind interprets. Which means that in a way you will realize that everything is the creation of your own mind. Everything else is the creation of your own mind, which means that everything else dissolves into your mind. So all phenomena, say we interact with the object is your phenomena, and your subject, yourself, I, as a subject, and the phenomena with which we interact as the object. And all these phenomena, you become to know that these are all nothing but a manifestation or the creation of your own mind, the mind. So when you dissolve the mind, all what is seen by this mind will be dissolved. So the phenomena with which the self interacts, they dissolve. Of the two phenomena, the objects as the phenomena, and the yourself, the person as the subject, the phenomena as the object, and your phenomena meaning all phenomena which the mind, which the self interacts as the object, and yourself as the subject. Of the two, when the mind, when you see that everything dissolves in the mind, and you see the emptiness of the mind, right? Even the mind, which is the fabric of all the other phenomena with which the self interacts, this mind is empty of objective existence. Mind dissolves. As the mind dissolves, all other phenomena which this self interacts with, they all dissolve. So of the two hands, object and the subject, the self as the subject, and when you say the subject, we have to think of the context. So here I'm talking about the self versus the phenomena with which this self interacts. So that phenomena becomes your object, and we see that they are the manifestation of the mind, because it is through the mind that we interpret the self understands this is violet, this is blue, this is red, this is nice, this is not nice, right? This is a house, this is not a house, this is a table, chair, all these interpretations. What we see as this or that is through the interpretation of mind. When the interpreting mind dissolves, all the interpreted dissolves. Okay, so of the two things, the non-duality, of the two things, first the object dissolves. Then you see about, now who perceives these objects? The subject. Which subject? Which subject? The self, right? When we say subject, subject can be the self, can be the mind, can be the labels. There are three subjects. In this context, which I'm explaining now, Shiri Heruga, in this context, the subject is the self. So now, even the self, what we see is the subject, self is the subject, even that does not intrinsically exist. Okay, let's see. Object dissolves, the phenomena dissolves by dissolving the mind. By dissolving the mind, all what is manifested by the mind, they all dissolve automatically. Then the subject, the self, dissolves. So what is left now? Earlier there were two. Object, the self as the subject, and the objects, the manifestation of mind as the object. There are two things there. Now the object dissolved because of dissolving the mind, and the subject, the self, dissolved. So what is left now? Nothing. Where's the two? The two dissolves. The duality dissolves. Right? So this is Advaita, meaning this is the non-duality. The non-duality in Buddhism, and particularly in the context of the Madhyamika, and more precisely in the context of Prasangika. The two things dissolve. It's not that two becomes one, or the one is left. No, both dissolve. That is the understanding of the non-duality. Okay. So with this, now the point is that, okay, who is seeing this non-duality? Who is seeing this non-duality? Who is seeing this non-duality? The mind, which is the wisdom, the non-dual wisdom, is seeing this non-duality. You're getting it? Who is seeing this non-duality? The non-dual mind, non-dual wisdom is the one which, non-dual wisdom within your mind, that sees the non-duality. Right? So this, now the non-duality becomes the object, and the wisdom of non-duality becomes the subject. Again you see that object and subject. Even that is not in the form of with respect to you as outsider. Say I'm an outsider with respect to you, and I check you. You are into the non-dual experience emptiness. So I'm asking, okay, who is experiencing this non-duality? Right? Okay, Mimi is into non-dual experience emptiness. Right? Okay, Mimi is just in non-dual experience. Okay, now the object dissolves, subject dissolves. Wow, now and the Mimi is, what is she doing? She's into the non-dual experience. And who is observing it? I'm observing it. Okay, what is happening now? Whose experience is non-dual? Mimi's non-dual wisdom is experiencing the non-duality. Who describes this? Outsider. A person who's outsider explains this. So now here, what I see, Mimi's mind, non-dual mind, and the object, non-duality is the object. These two, with respect to me, Mimi's mind, non-dual mind is the subject, and the non-duality is the object with respect to me. But with respect to Mimi, her own experience, again there's this non-duality object and the non-dual wisdom as the subject, even that is non-existent with respect to Mimi. Even that dissolves. Right? So the non-dual wisdom and the non-dual object, these two also becomes non-dual with respect to Mimi. With respect to outsider, these two are object and subject is there. But with respect to the individual person, even that dissolves. Right? This is meaning of Shri Heruka. Okay. So there, let's see, now let's read this, you will get it. Page 206. Page 206 of this, the Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. The last part. Shiri Heruga, Shiri Heruga, Shiri Heruga. Okay, He is the selflessness of phenomena. Selfless meaning dissolving the phenomena, dissolving the object. The emptiness of the mind, which is the source of everything. The mind as the source of everything, meaning that mind which manifests. Whatever you experience is just nothing but a manifestation of the mind, which is the source of everything. As it is imputed, and this mind, which is the source of everything, even that mind is empty of objective existence. How do you know it is empty of objective existence? Because it is imputed to be of causal nature. It's imputed. It is not intrinsically causal nature. It is a causal nature for all phenomena, but it is not intrinsically the causal nature. If it is not intrinsically causal nature, how did it become the causal nature? By imputation, only through subjective imputation. Objectively, is empty. One. Ru is the selflessness of person. Now the person is being dissolved. Ru is the selflessness of person, the emptiness of the self that is fabricated by the web of conceptual thought that grasp at the self of person. Seeing the self is so intrinsically real, there is misconception. It is fabricated by the conceptual thoughts and is not by way of its own intrinsic nature. It is by the fabrication. So, from its own nature, it is empty. Ka is the ultimate reality, the absence of the dissonant duality of the subject-object. So, Ka, object, subject, both dissolve. Now the non-duality is created. It comes into being. Then finally, Shri. The who sees the non-duality? Shri is the non-dual exalted wisdom. Shri is the one. Shri signifies the non-dual wisdom. Non-dual wisdom, which sees this non-duality. But this non-dual wisdom that abides in congruence with the emptiness of the object. Object meaning the non-duality. The non-duality is the object and the non-dual wisdom as the subject. Even these two are non-dual. This is the meaning of Evam. Okay. So with this, we see that, say, the non-duality in the context of Buddhism, in the Madhyamika concept, non-duality, and precisely Madhyamika, non-duality has a connotation of, say, the two things, both dissolve, not just one side. Whereas in Advaita Vedanta non-duality, the two things, either they merge, or one disappears and one is left so static, permanent and independent. What is that? Paramatma. That is left. Right? That is left. That alone is alone. Alone means non-dual. Right? So one where the Maya, the diversity, it disappears. Only the Paramatma is left. This is non-duality according to Advaita Vedanta tradition. Whereas in Buddhist philosophy, both object and subject dissolve. Okay, with this, then the question is, how can we know that which is correct? This is a big question, right? Big question. Anyway, those people who disagree with Advaita Vedanta, following the other traditions of Vedanta, they will say this is stupid, this is nonsense. Advaita Vedanta, it's just because they are not happy with this, because it's taken from Buddhism. They're not happy with it. The point is, how do we know that which is correct? In fact, in this connection, the Buddhist concept, this is purely what you can experience it. Experience it through logical steps. You just follow mechanically. You just follow the steps of understanding emptiness. You will get a clue. You will get a clue that this is object dissolve, subject dissolve. No subject, just as object can be dissolved, all subjects automatically dissolve. There is no way by which subjects can exist independently, right? By the same logic that you apply to the objects, this you see is easily applicable to all phenomena. So if that is the case, then how can somebody experience this permanent, independent, the Paramatma, in order to experience this non-duality. So there, I wanted to know this. I wanted to know this once I went to Varanasi for that purpose. And then with the help of, say, one of my very good friends, I got in contact with the, say, Advaita scholar, a Pandit, an Indian Pandit, a scholar. Then I asked him about this Advaita concept of the Paramatma. And he said, okay, this you have to realize. And then I asked, how can we realize it? He said, first you have to surrender to your Guru. Then I said, to surrender to the Guru first I have to gain, I have to say surrender means to have faith in the Guru. So how can I say that this is the correct Guru? That is not out of my debate. It is purely out of my eagerness to learn. Then it's no, you have to surrender. Then I create a scenario. Say, I'm not somebody who likes to debate. I simply want to really know, right? And then I meet with two teachers. One who says that there is Paramatma. Another teacher who says that there is no Paramatma, right? Then which of the two should I follow? Which of the tradition should I follow? I asked him. Then he said that no, without the surrender to Guru, you will never realize this. So then I say, okay, I'm interested to know what is this system. Is there a way by which you can first convince me that this is true? Only when I realize it's true, then I will surrender to a teacher who accepts this tradition, who follows this tradition. Then he said, no, you have to surrender. So which means that we have to have a faith. We have to start from the faith. Without a faith, there's no way, there's no rational steps to get there. It's only through faith, right? Whereas in the Buddhist concept of Advaita, or the non-duality, say I won't really go to the extent of saying that no faith is required, but we can say that we can start from the systematic rational steps. With the systematic rational steps, even if you have no faith in any religion, with the systematic rational steps, you can get to experience where you come to realize that, okay, this is experience, nothing really exists objectively. And the moment you get this experience, you get a confidence that all my attachment, anger, jealousy, they will dissolve when I experience this. This is conviction that will gain even if you person does not have any faith in any religion. With a pure systematic following, the person will get this experience that all my negative emotions will go down. And then with these negative emotions, my miseries will go down. Finally, what I don't want is I don't want miseries. As long as I reach to that level where my miseries will come to an end altogether, completely, altogether, and my peace, the serenity, absolute peace comes to me, that's my final goal, right? So this is what can for sure, with dead sure, you will get this conviction, even if you don't have to start with the faith. This is so beautiful. Okay. So with this is distinction. This is more like a digression, but very important point. Very important point. Okay, now 59. Definition of ultimate truth. An object which is cognized by the direct valid cognition, cognizing it by way of dissolving the appearance of duality. So this flower, when you say with the direct valid cognition, you perceive this flower, cognize this flower, and the duality does not dissolve, because of which the object that you cognize is conventional truth. So whereas you cognize, okay, so this is a little digression. So in my case, in fact, I'm very fortunate to have met with my brilliant teachers. And because of these teachers, now it can be presumptuous, I'm not too sure, but now I get a very strong feeling that it doesn't matter what tradition, Buddhism, any ism, it doesn't matter. You do something, you take steps, and then you understand something. Just by this experience, your negative emotions start to subside. You will feel it. you would feel that this is what you should be going for. Final purpose is that I don't want suffering, I want happiness. And then you extend this with this practice of the unconditional love for others. It's beautiful. The unity of these two, one, seeing the reality as it is, the reality, and the negative emotions, disturbing emotions, they subside. And then one, you expand this through unconditional love towards others, the joy multiplies. This is finally what I'm seeking for, what I'm seeking, right? This is amazing. So this is I would say some kind of conviction that I'm getting somewhere close to with the help of my great teachers. So this is so precious, particularly my teacher, Venerable Geshe Banda Thabar Rinpoche. Amazing. He allowed me to have this openness in the thinking. So kind. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little bit of digression. And from your side also, just see with the study of the emptiness concept according to the Madhyamikas, precisely Prasanga Madhyamika, see if that effect is being felt within you. And of course, whatever little experience that you get, that say the things don't exist the way they appear to me, don't feel complacent. This is what a very strong warning that I'm giving you. Because earlier when I was doing my own the student days, this warning was what I constantly see in Lama Tsongkhapa's text. Oftentimes, this is the warning that he has given, that sometimes you're bound to get experience that things are like illusion. Still, don't feel complacent. There are many subtler ways to go to, right? So this is my deep conviction because of this, seeing what Lama Tsongkhapa wrote. And then, when he said, don't just stay there, keep going. Keep going. Okay, keep going. And if it improves, wonderful. If it doesn't improve, no regret. Right? Whatever experience that you had, that's good. Just keep going. This is the advice that he gave in the book, in his books. And then I just kept going. And to my little experience, they see that there are various landscapes to be unfold, one after other, with the same wordings. Experience, the landscape of the experiences changes every time. It becomes subtler. Okay. So the point is that we are, the moment anybody who's interested in the study of the emptiness, and that too in a very systematic way, in a very the proper steps, one is bound to get some experience. And when one gets this experience, because this experience is so profound, so subtle, one is bound to be trapped by this, thinking that this is emptiness. Yet it may be a self-deception, meaning that you may get stuck there. So don't remain complacent. Don't think that I got there. Keep going. Study more, reflect more. And then you're bound to unfold many more subtler levels of the nuances of emptiness. Okay. Then the next one, the definition of a conventional truth. An object which is cognized by the direct value cognition, cognizing it with the appearance of duality. Okay, it doesn't mean that I have to experience emptiness. This is a warning and the message that I must, pass to you. It doesn't have this connotation. So this is my inclination towards the state of emptiness. This is so deep, right from the beginning. My inclination to study emptiness is there, but still struggling, still going. Lama Tsongkhapa said, keep going, still going. Yeah. Okay. Definition of conventional truth. An object which is cognized by the direct value cognition, cognizing it with the appearance of duality. So where the direct value cognition perceives the object and cognizes the object, still the duality remains. If that happens, then the object is conventional truth. Okay. And there are many more things. So precisely this can be explained more in the context of the Prasangika, so which I may not mix up too much with the Savatantrika Madhyamika here. To say there are many more interesting things that we need to know. For sure it will come later. Okay. The emptiness of true existence of vase is an instance of the former. Former meaning ultimate truth. What example? Okay, what examples can you give an example of, say, ultimate truth? Very quick. Any example? No? No example? Huh? Who said it? Empty of? Empty of object, empty of true existence of a vessel. Emptiness of true existence. So this must be qualified. Emptiness of true existence of a vessel. Very good, right? Don't just say empty, the empty of vessel, right? Emptiness of true existence of a vessel. Okay, any other examples? No? Anyone? No? No examples? Okay, never mind. Yeah, Tejallah.
Emptiness of the independent existence of the self.
Emptiness of independent existence of the self. Very good. Emptiness of independent existence, emptiness of true existence of the self. Very good. Okay, thank you. So this is the example. Then the vase is an instance of the latter. Conventional truth. Your vase is an instance of the latter. I say vase, when you see the vase by direct value cognition, when you see the vase, so the subject-object duality does not dissolve. Because of this, the vase is an example of the conventional truth. But next, ultimate truth, when classified in greater detail, has 16 emptinesses as its divisions. In concise, it is divided into 4 emptiness. Okay, I'm not going to go into the details of this, right? So emptiness classified, divided into 16 kinds of the divisions of emptiness. Say the 4 divisions of emptiness, and at times 18 divisions of emptiness. So these things it's just mentioned there. So we'll study in more detail as a part of Madhyamik Avatar, entry into the middle way. You're getting it? Okay. Conventional truth is classified into, because at the moment if you don't go too detailed into the individual subjects, then we'll lose track of the overall picture. At the moment, the study of the 10 systems is for what? For to get the overall picture. Once you get the overall picture, then when you study the systems separately, like Madhyamik Avatar, which is fully dedicated to understand Prasangika. So there, then all these divisions will come, right? Okay. Conventional truth is classified into real conventionality and unreal conventionality. Okay, say conventional truth. What examples can you give for conventional truth? Anyone? Very quick, very quick. Okay, just raise your hands. Yes, yes, yes. No need to rush to no need for the mic. Quick. Prayer flags. Very good. Very quick. Tables. Mind.
Sound.
Tea lights. Tea lights. Then? Flower. Very good. Okay. So all this conventional truth. Now, what about mirage? Mirage is the ultimate truth or conventional truth? Conventional truth. What about dream? Conventional truth. Okay. Now conventional truth can be classified into 2 groups. The real conventional truth and non-real. What's the word used here? The unreal. Unreal conventional truth. Real conventional truth. The real conventional truth is Yangdak Kunzup. Kunzup is conventional truth. Yangdak Kunzup is written there. Yangdak Kunzup. And the unreal is Lope Kunzup. Okay. Yangdak Kunzup, Lope Kunzup. So what is the difference between the 2 things? Let's say dream is deceptive. This flower is deceptive. Okay. This flower, the red flower in my right hand, and the imaginary blue flower in my left hand. Red flower in my right hand, and the imaginary blue flower in my left hand. In left hand, there's no flower. So just imagine the blue flower, imagine a blue flower. So of the 2, which you see as real and which you see as unreal? Red flower is real and imaginary blue flower is unreal. Okay. Say Okay, imagine, I know that most of you are into Prasangika, I know that. So let's say that you have no exposure to Prasangika or philosophy. So if you have no exposure in philosophy, then if I tell you that which of the two is real and which of the two is unreal, this red flower or the imaginary blue flower, which is real? Red flower is real. So how is it real?
Because it has a substance.
No. You are not a philosopher. As a non-philosopher, I can see it tangibly there. It's so tangibly there. What about the imaginary blue flower? In what way it is unreal? It is just mentally thought of. There's nothing really there, right? This is how we understand it. Okay, so the unreal conventional truth, in the first place, conventional truth, it should be something existent, because it should be truth. But within this conventional truth, which is existent, there are two kinds. One, which the ordinary people can easily identify as faulty, and another, which the ordinary people cannot find it as faulty. Right? Okay, let's say this flower, the red flower, this red flower, the real flower, is this something ordinary people can say, oh, this is deceptive? Oh, maybe this, yes, this is a fake flower, it's an artificial flower, right? Okay, this is interesting. Okay, let's say the rosary. The ordinary people cannot say that this is deceptive. Right? This is real, right? So whereas the dream, ordinary people will say this is deceptive. Yes. Oh, this is deceptive, it's just your dream, right? What about mirage? It's deceptive. This also just, it's not really there, right? We see that in one way, but we know, ordinary people knows that, they know that it does not exist that way. Like a reflection in the mirror. Ordinary people will see this as real or unreal? Unreal. Okay. All those conventional truths which the ordinary people can easily identify them as erroneous. That is known as unreal conventional truth. And all those conventional truths which the ordinary people cannot identify them as unreal. Erroneous is real conventional truth. This is according to Savatantrika Madhyamika, right? Not according to Prasangika. So we are doing the Savatantrika Madhyamika, right? Okay. This is something unique of Savatantrika. This is common to Yogacharans and the Savatantrika both. Savatantrika Madhyamika. This is unique with respect to Prasangika. Okay. So whereas Prasangika would argue that conventional truth can never be real. Conventional means, convention has the connotation of deceptive truth. Conventional truth, deceptive truth. How can deceptive be real? Right? How can deceptive be real? So deception and real, these two are contradictory. Right? So therefore, Prasangika would put it slightly differently. Right? When explaining this, dividing, or when classifying the conventional truth, they will classify slightly differently. With the Savatantrika Madhyamika would say that it's fine. The conventional truth is divided into real conventional truth and unreal conventional truth. Okay, let's read this further. Conventional truth is classified into real conventionality and unreal conventionality. Water is an instance of the former, real conventionality. Mirage is an instance of the latter, unreal conventionality. Next, the second, assertions on the subject, not object-wise. Time, the concept of time, concept of the, what else? Truth is stated here, and what else? You remember 6 points?
Yes.
Specifically characterized, generally characterized, and what else? Positive, negative, oneness, differentness, manifest, hidden. All these what we studied earlier, not being said here now, right? Because they are not said here. If you have not studied well there, then you're going to miss all these things. So what we have studied here, so therefore the 10 systems, this is on the one hand, this is the beauty of the study of the 10 systems according to this author. This is amazing how he wrote this is amazing. I really have a tremendous respect for the author. So beautiful, amazing articulation, and it's a beautiful way of putting things in a very concise way, right? Okay, so what is being studied earlier, they all have to be taken here. Now the point is, I would suggest that whether the regular participants or the online participants all to go through the 10 systems once more, at least once more, right? And later on, say when the next batch, second batch students come, then if it so happens, and of course you can also listen or attend the classes of the second batch also, because these things, the more you attend, clarity will come to you. The first teaching will not really give you not necessarily a great clarity. First teaching will help you to implant the seed, and then study the specific texts, the technical texts like Mula Madhyamika Karika, Madhyamika Avatar, Pramana Vartika, then the what? Abhisamalankara, Abhidhammakosh. Study them separately, and then again, say revisiting this 10 system. You will be just amazed by the wonder of how this text is written by the author. This is amazing. Okay, so now the assertions of this subject, which is the object possessors. Object possessors. Why I kept this in as option is that you will read other 10 systems. You will read other books, and then you may find this word object possessors, then you might get confused. So we need to know all these vocabularies, right? Okay, person, under subject, assertions of the subject. What are the divisions? The person, consciousness, and the terms, labels, right? Okay, these three things. Both the Savattantrikas agree on the following. They posit mental consciousness as an illustration of person. So now things are becoming clearer. And meanwhile, what is being rejected, the Savattantrika Madhyamikas, they will reject many things which will be accepted by the lower schools. And then finally, things become clearer in your mind. Then what becomes so unique of the Savattantrika Madhyamika, when you reject this, then you will understand Prasangika's view. This is the beauty, right? Okay. Now Savattantrikas, they become very clear. Their thinking is very clear. Say, hey, where is the where is Ajirji? Oh, he's there, right? Okay, so we see that. Okay, and then after seeing Ajirji, again asking, where is Ajirji? If you are Savattantrika Madhyamikas, you will say that Ajirji is consciousness. Ajirji is consciousness, or the Ajirji is mind. Okay, again, one thing that I like to make clarification here is that this word consciousness, of course, is an English word, and this word is being borrowed, of course, because English is now it's more like an international language. Everywhere, all the philosophical traditions, they translate the philosophy into English. So we have to borrow English words, consciousness. So consciousness is not a Sanskrit word, it's not a Pali, it's not a Tibetan, it's not a Hindi, it's not Chinese, it's a pure English word. And how the traditions, philosophical traditions of Asia, they borrow these different terminologies from the English. They may differ. They borrow the same word to understand different meanings, right? Okay. Oftentimes, when you meet with the philosophers of other traditions like Vedanta, Samkhya, Mimamsaka, then the Yoga and Jainism, when they use the word consciousness, they refer the Atman, they refer the soul, they refer to the Atman or the self, which is permanent, unitary, independent. They refer to the self, and more precisely, permanent, unitary, independent self. Whereas according to the Buddhist interpretation or borrowing, they borrow this word consciousness to understand the mind. the mind and consciousness, right? Okay, this we are not to mix up. I got mixed up of this so many times, right? Attending various conferences, then becoming confused. People use the word consciousness. I thought it was referring to the mind, and then actually not. Then finally I can realize that they use it very differently to refer to the self. Precisely the permanent unitary independence of Atman or the soul. So this is what we need to know. Here the consciousness means the mind, not the self. Okay, so the person, let me go back to the person. Both Sarvatantrikas agree on the following. They posit mental consciousness as an illustration of person. Okay, so when you ask this question, where are you? You say that I'm here. When I see you, still I ask, where are you? Then the philosophers, they differ in their answers, right? So Svatantra Madhyamikas, whether Yogacara or Sautantrika Svatantra Madhyamika, both agree that it is the mental consciousness, is the consciousness, is the mind. Is the mind, your mind is the self. Is the self, which is the substantial self, right? Okay. What makes them think? What makes them think that the self is the consciousness is the self? What makes them think that? Or what clues? Always try to look for clues. Or, we are not supposed to speculate easily, right? We are not to speculate easily. Always try to look for the source. Okay, so this is very clearly seen in say the Acharya Bhavaviveka's text on Tarka Jwala, which is the blaze of reasonings. And his thinking is really blaze of reasonings. His thinking is so sharp, right? If he's alive today, I think most of the people will follow him. They'll forget Prasangika. I'm pretty sure. He's so sharp, and what he says is very convincing. Right? Most of us, I'm sure, will follow him. Right? Okay. So what is said in Tibetan in this text? What is said is in Tibetan. It is the Toge Barwa. He says that ko chane number shabada dagata musu tote number shabari yang sibale mishi daino. This is his word statement from the Tarkajwala. Ko chane number shabada dagata musu tote number shabani yang sibale mishi daino. Which means that we propose the consciousness to be the referent of the label self. Number the consciousness is the one which reincarnates. Therefore, it is the self. This is what he said, right? Okay. So, his argument that the consciousness is the self is very convincing. Say, in the first place, the life terminates, the self terminates at the time of death, or it continues. Answer is, it continues. This is the general the acceptance of the Buddhist philosophical schools. All schools accept this. That the self doesn't terminate. The self continues its journey after the death. Okay. If the self doesn't terminate, and if this is what you accept to travel to the next life, according to Prasangika, so primarily his argument would be against the Prasangikas. At the same time, we know that out of the 5 aggregates which constitute the self, or the 5 aggregates, the aggregate of the form, the body, will be left behind, either cremated or buried, or whatever. It will be disposed of. This will for sure not go to the next life. Now, on the one hand, the self migrates to the next life. On the other hand, we see the body does not migrate, it is the mind which migrates. Right? The mind migrates from one life to the other, and the self migrates to one life to the other. This is the basic belief, acceptance of all the Buddhist schools. And then what we actually see is that it's not the body which migrates, it's the mind which migrates. So if there is something which migrates as a self, it should be the mind. Because what is actually seen, moving, is just mind. If the self really migrates, it should be the mind which migrates. So the mind should be the self. This is his argument. This is a very strong argument. Very strong argument. Okay, so now we need to think of how many you think that you have, I'm not saying whether you are Prasangika. How many of you have affinity to Prasangika? You say, okay, just raise hands, not half. Okay, most of us. Yes. Okay. To say that I have affinity towards Prasangika, there's nothing wrong in it. Right? Affinity towards Prasangika. In fact, this is very auspicious. Not only auspicious, it will leave a very strong karmic connection. Karmic connection to have inclination towards Prasangika. This is very precious and auspicious. Okay. Now the Prasangikas, those who have affinity towards Prasangika, it is your job. How to still defend Acharya Chandrakriti, that the mind is not a self. Although what Acharya Bhaviveka said, it makes sense. Still, it does not prove that the mind is a self.
I have a problem with the mind migrates itself.
If the mind migrates, then why doesn't the memory migrates? Because memory stays in the mind.
Yeah, memory migrates, yes, it migrates.
No, but we forget about our past life.
Okay, this is a very different question. Right? This is a very different question. Okay, this question is good. In the first place, right, the same, how does the mind migrate? This is a very separate topic, right? So keep in mind that, and this is particularly the Nirjala's topic, right? Okay, Nirjala and two of us. We will have to, this is our job. It's not Nirjala alone. Two of us, have to defend Nirjala. Right, this is our job. So should you have this question, you should come to us, two of us, right? Okay. The point is, this is a very separate debate. So what we are saying is that, say that you understood this concept well, and then saying whether the consciousness or the mind is the self or not, then Acharya Bhaviveka would say that, so this is a statement accepted by you, and then what actually transmigrates according to Pramanavartika philosophy, Pramanavartika logic, what transmigrates is the mind, consciousness. So therefore the mind should be the self, right? Now, people who are to defend Acharya Chandrakriti, should be those who already understood, who have already understood that the mind actually transmigrates on the basis of the study of the Pramanavartika and so forth. That is taken for granted. That is taken for granted. Now with this, then if the mind transmigrates and the self transmigrates, the mind migrates and the self migrates, then the mind should be the self. This is Acharya Bhaviveka's debate, and Acharya Chandrakriti same accepts that this self transmigrates the two positions. That Acharya Chandrakriti accepts that the self migrates, one, and the mind migrates, and the body does not migrate, mind alone migrates. This is what Acharya Chandrakriti accepts. Still, he rejects that the mind is the self. So how that is done, this is the point. You're getting it? This is a very important one. If you can do it very successfully with such an ease in your mind, without any unease, if it comes to your mind, it doesn't really matter. Self migrates 100%. The mind transmigrates, yes. And the body does not migrate, yes. Still, it doesn't mean that the mind is this self. If you were to say this with great ease, you are, if not, you really understood Acharya Chandrakirti's philosophy, but you are very close to understanding Acharya Chandrakirti's Prasanga philosophy, right? This is so precious. Okay, this is just a light of the lighthouse. Lighthouse means you are not on the land yet, right? It's indicating that there is a land there, right? Okay, so let us not digress too much on this. But these questions you have, there must be numerous questions coming during the study of the Madhyamik Avatar, right? During Madhyamik Avatar, there should be numerous questions coming from both the regular students as well as the online students, right? Okay, for the time being, let us not digress too much. It's just a spark created. Okay, the person, both the Svatantrikas agree on the following. They posit mental consciousness, not the sensory consciousness. Mental consciousness as an illustration of a person. They do not accept alaya vijnana, repository consciousness, kunshi, or the afflictive mind, two of the consciousnesses accepted by the Chittamatrins, particularly Chittamatras following scripture. They don't accept these two things. And they accept the 6 classes of consciousness. This is so standard position. They accept the 6 classes of consciousness, meaning that it is also accepted by the Prasangikas, 6 classes. What are the 6 classes of consciousness? 5 sensory consciousnesses and 1 mental consciousness. Okay, this is what we need to know. 6 classes of consciousness. Next, consciousness. Number 2, consciousness. Okay, what we are going to study here is much more the same what we studied in the Sautantrika school. What we studied here is all just the same here. Consciousness is classified into valid cognition and non-prime cognition. Valid cognition is classified into direct valid cognition, inferential cognition. You agree with me?
Yes.
Good. Direct perceiver is classified into 4. Sense direct perceiver, mental direct perceiver, self-cognizant direct perceiver, and yogic direct perceiver. You agree with me or not? Okay. But this is of the Madhyamikas, the 4. This form, the sense direct perceiver, mental direct perceiver, and self-cognizant direct perceiver. Self-cognizant direct perceiver. This is something which is of the Madhyamikas, only Yogacara Svatantrika Madhyamika accepts from the Madhyamikas. Sautantrika Svatantrika Madhyamika will not accept it, and Prasanga will not accept it. So self-cognizant direct perceiver is accepted only by which of the Madhyamika? Yogacara Svatantrika Madhyamika. Okay, page 60, line 1. They accept that the latter 2 direct perceivers, latter meaning self-cognizant direct perceiver and the yogic direct perceiver, are always non-mistaken consciousness. Okay, always non-mistaken. Non-mistaken. Since this is what is accepted by the Chittamatra also. Chittamatra, right? Since they do not accept things existing as external, they accept that blue and the direct perceiver apprehending blue are substantial one is just the same as presented by Chittamatra school. Say the flower and the subject. The flower is the object and you're the subject. The what? Direct valid cognition. Direct valid cognition perceive the flower. These two are substantially one or substantially different?
One.
These two are substantially one. These two are empty of substantial difference. Right? Okay. Next, reference number 77. Second, assertions on the path. Okay. So now, let us pay a little more attention to these things. Let us pay a little more attention to these things. In fact, the differences that you find, what we have covered in the earlier, the schools like Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, Chittamatra, so most of them are going to be repeated. There are few points which is something unique of this Svatantrika Madhyamika. Okay, otherwise we come to know that, okay, this is what I've already learned, this is more the same thing, right? From there, you will see some of the things becoming more solid, grounded in your mind, and some of the things you will see that there are new things coming up. So it'll give you a very holistic picture. Okay, the object of the first, reference number 77. Second, assertions on the path has 3 parts. Object of the path, objects to be abandoned by the path, the nature of the path, 3. So the same pattern. Number 1, reference 78, first, object of the path. They accept object of the path meaning what are the objects to be meditated upon by following the path. What should we be meditating as experiencing the path in order to counteract the emotions, negative emotions, afflictive obscurations, cognitive obscurations, so forth. So they say that they accept that the emptiness of permanent, unitary, and independent self as the gross selfness of person. Now from from Chittamatra onward, what we already said earlier, from Chittamatra onward, Chittamatra Madhyamikas. So their emphasis is always going to be on the selflessness as to what object we should be meditating on. More emphasis will be, always you will find the emphasis on selflessness, whether the gross selflessness or subtle selflessness, that we have to distinguish. Otherwise, impermanence, suffering, right? These are not going to be touched as much. Why? Because in the Vaibhashika and Sautantrika, particularly Vaibhashika, there's equal emphasis on the impermanence, right? Some arhats, they become arhats by meditating just on impermanence, not necessarily on selflessness, on impermanence. Any aspect, any of the 16 aspects. But here, from Chittamatra onwards, Chittamatra Madhyamikas, there's always emphasis on, finally you have to meditate on selflessness. What selflessness? Again, it differs, right? Not only, it's not sufficient to meditate on impermanence and the suffering and the other aspects, right? Okay, so it is for this reason, this is very important, it's a little bit, important. It is said that of the teachings, of the different teachings of the Buddha, some are the ripening factors, some are the ripening factor teachings, and other are the liberating factor teachings. Teachings are classified into 2, ripening factors and the liberating factors, right? So teaching on impermanence, teaching on suffering and so forth, these are the ripening factors. And the liberating factor is the teaching on selflessness. And then according to Prasangika, teaching, the liberating factor is the teaching on the emptiness of objective existence. The final understanding of emptiness alone, the teaching on the final understanding of emptiness alone is the liberating factor. And all others are ripening factors. You're getting it? Okay. So finally, let's say that, okay, say if somebody is say suffering from hunger, then what you do is that, okay, I can give you some soup, or I can give you some, say, the porridge, right? But what should you do? You should look for a container, right? You should look for a container. And you get a container, and in a container there's a hole at the base. Again, you have to fix it, right? Why are you doing all these things? So that your hunger is going to be removed. All these things are done in order to remove your hunger. And then finally what happens with this, the container fixed and the container is dirty inside. Then what do? Again, you clean it up. You clean it up. Okay. So with this then what do? You put the food inside and then you eat it. So you put lots of effort looking for the container, fixing the container, cleaning the container, looking for the food, putting it in the container and then eating it, right? All these efforts are put, and for all these efforts, say the container, material to fix the container, the hole in the container, and the removing the dirt, the water required, to rinse the container, and the food to be put inside. Okay, tell me, which is that object which actually helps you to remove your hunger? The food. The food. All others are the aids. All others are aids to make the food actually that you get the food, right? They are the helpers. They are the helpers. Likewise, all the other teachings except for the teaching on the ultimate reality, emptiness, all other teachings are the ripening factors, and the actual liberating. And why we have to learn all these things, practice all these things, reflect, study, reflect, meditate, is in order to liberate us from the miseries, liberate us from the selfishness, liberate us from the miseries, right? So what actually liberates us is the teaching on the emptiness. All other teachings are the teachings to help us to become more mature, to ripened, for us to be ready to get to emptiness, right? So therefore, the study of emptiness, reflection of emptiness, meditation of emptiness is so precious, right? It's so precious. And unfortunately, this is what even nowadays I always pray, that in my future lifetimes may I always meet with, the teaching on the wisdom of emptiness. Because, if this is not what happens, then you may be into any other teaching practice. The liberating factor is missing, and food is missing, and the container is so beautiful. You can make the container so beautiful, you can ornament the container. What for? Why do you have to ornament the container? Why do you have to clean the container? So that it can be used for the eating food, and food is not there, right? So therefore, this is my heartfelt prayer. Likewise, for all of us, doing the practice of the Vajramoon practice, that we say this prayer, that throughout my future lifetimes may be what? Guided by the compassionate Buddha, and be able to uphold the teachings of the two bodhicittas, two precious bodhicittas, right? So this prayer is so precious. So learning these things, then you will know what's the real dharma, right? What's the real dharma? Okay, this is, and then those who are deprived of this opportunity, then see how much we can be, let us not be, sometimes we may, what they are doing is really nonsense. Their true teaching is the wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta. If this is our attitude, again this is wrong. We should be feeling compassion towards them. And see, on the one hand, if there is a way by which we can help, directly, indirectly, do that. If there's nothing can be done, at least rejoice. I'm happy that you're doing something which is connected to this wonderful teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Although you may not have met the wisdom of emptiness, still what you're doing is so good. Instead of not doing anything of the dharma, of the not being connected. Even so, therefore, we say that the whole book, for example, is Narada Master's course. So what we say is that somebody is to take this Narada Master's course, and with great excitement, triggered by maybe your friends. Oh, this Narada Master's for the first time is happening, right? With great excitement. And then they say after a few days, oh no, I cannot really do it. It's very difficult, like this, and then you drop, right? Then what we say is that don't worry. So this person, if not associated with the Narada Master's course, very likely since time immemorial till now, this person did not even identify himself or herself with I am a part of Narada Masters. Should not have happened, right? But because of this program, people are able to identify themselves. Oh, I'm a part of Narada Masters course. Well, unfortunately, right, I could not complete it. It doesn't matter. So first imprint is already late. Now next life, again Narada Master's course, Tibet House. Yes, that is mine. That is mine. So that seed is not required now. Now the next seed automatically is going to be the second level. Then I'll do it for 1 year until Loma goes. right? And then stop. And the third life, oh no, this is mine. This is, you feel at home, right? And then you complete the non-master's course. It's amazing. So this is so precious. This is so precious, right? Okay. So the point is that the wisdom of emptiness. This is so precious. So precious, and people who are deprived of that, right? And oftentimes this is the partly I think it is the intelligence also plays a role, and karmic connection also plays a great role. It's not only intelligence, karmic role is also there, and intelligence is also there, and I think primarily is karmic. This is what I get a feeling. Some people, they may be intelligent, somehow they do not get the opportunity to, say, awaken this intelligence, and then you could not identify your intelligence inside, and then, say, meet with say, particular tradition, and then get attached to it, and then become a little fanatic about it, Once one becomes fanatic, finish. You will just show a blind eye to anything else. This is very sad. So for that, we should not be, say, our attitude, in whatever is the case, our attitude should not be that, oh, unfortunate guys, they are very, so they don't know the real dharma. This should not be our attitude. If this is attitude, this is where we are going wrong. Right? The point is, if you really understand the dharma, the real dharma is to embrace others with love and affection. This is so important. See in what way. The point is not to convert others. See in what way to benefit others. This is important. And benefit without expectation in return. This is so precious. Okay. So in whatever little way, say for example, sometimes saying I say something, the person will not be convinced. Others say your friends tell the person, the person is convinced. So this is karmic connection, right? So that way, in whatever way that we can inspire others, directly, indirectly, explicitly, implicitly, whatever, in whatever the way we can somehow influence others to study emptiness, that would be so on the kind. This is so precious. Okay. We are on reference 79, is it? Or 78? 78. They accept that the emptiness of permanent, unitary and independent self as the gross selfless of person, and the emptiness of autonomous substantial self as the subtle selfless of person. You remember this we did as a part of South Tantric school, Chittamatra school, both, right? It's the same here. The emptiness now, the one thing which is unique here is this one. The second one is unique. Emptiness of the form and the valid cognition apprehending form to be substantially separate is the gross selflessness of phenomena, and the emptiness of true existence of all phenomena is the subtle selflessness of phenomena. Okay, if I leave it like this, right, if I jump to the next point, you read it, you don't want to read it again, because it's very complicated. Emptiness of the form and the valid cognition apprehending the form to be substantially separate is the gross selflessness, and you get lost and you don't want to read it again. Okay, it's not at all difficult, it's very simple. Okay, let's say selflessness of person, selflessness of phenomena. You getting it? Selflessness of person according to this school. And later on when you study Prasanga, even if you forget this, don't worry. Right? At the moment, at least listen to it. Right? And don't be biased also. Don't be biased towards Prasangika. So if there's a difference between Prasangika and this school, I forget this. This should not be an attitude. Be open-minded. Right? So at least listen to this now very clearly. If you understand it at this point, later when you study Prasangika, you forget these things, it doesn't matter. Right? Okay. From this school point of view, say the selflessness of person, selflessness of phenomena. This is what is accepted by Chittamatra, Svatandrika Madhyamika, Prasangika. All the three schools, they accept the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. Okay. Now selflessness of person. Now according to this school, selflessness of person, two, gross selflessness of person and subtle selflessness of person. So that version is shared between Sautandrika school, Chittamatra school and Svatandrika Madhyamika. The gross selflessness of person and subtle selflessness of person. What is the gross one?
Permanent independent.
Selflessness of permanent unitary independent self, and the subtle one is selflessness of autonomous substantial reality. So that is something accepted by the Sautandrika, Chittamatra and Svatandrika Madhyamika, these three. Now the second part is selflessness of phenomena. Selflessness of phenomena is accepted by which schools? Chittamatra, Svatandrika Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. Selflessness of phenomena, right? Okay. Now selflessness of phenomena, something which is unique of this school, not by Chittamatra, not by any other school, something unique of the Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika. Selflessness of phenomena is of two, gross and subtle. This is the only school which classifies the selfless phenomena into two, gross and subtle. The gross one is the emptiness of external reality. Emptiness of external reality. And emptiness of external reality can be understood in, let's say, there are three versions of stating the emptiness of external reality. Three versions. In other words, emptiness as presented by Chittamatra can be presented in three different forms. What are they? The first one is emptiness of externality. One. What is number two?
Emptiness
of
substantial separateness of
emptiness of substantial separateness of the object and subject. Number two. What is number three?
emptiness of the form being
Emptiness of the form being true referent of the label form. So these three. Okay. Now, according to Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika, emptiness presented by Chittamatra becomes the gross selflessness of phenomena. Gross selflessness of phenomena. Emptiness presented by Chittamatra is what Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika will say as it is not the subtle selflessness. It's not the subtle selflessness of phenomena. It is the gross selflessness of phenomena. Right? And then what is the subtle selflessness of phenomena? That is the emptiness of true existence. Emptiness of true existence is the subtle selflessness of phenomena. Okay. If you understand this, now we will understand this. When you read this, okay, let's see. Referent number 78. First, the objective part. They accept that emptiness of permanent, unitary, independent self as the gross selflessness of person. You got it? Emptiness of autonomous substance self as the self-selflessness of person. Finish. Next. Emptiness, now the gross one. Emptiness of the form and the valid cognition apprehending form to be substantially separate. This is nothing other than the emptiness of externality. Of the three, what is presented here is the second one. The emptiness of the form as the object and the valid cognition apprehending the form as the subject to be substantially separate. Emptiness, these two are not substantially separate. These two have the nature of the emptiness of being substantially separate between the object and the subject. So this is what the gross selflessness of phenomena, and the emptiness of true existence of all phenomena. Emptiness of true existence of flower, emptiness of true existence of person, emptiness of true existence of anything is the subtle selflessness of phenomena. This is something unique of this school, Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika, to classify the selflessness of phenomena into two, the gross and subtle. That is something unique of the Yogacara Svatandrika Madhyamika. Otherwise, Sautandrika Svatandrika Madhyamika and Prasangika and Chittamatra will never classify the selflessness of phenomena into gross and subtle. They only have the subtle, that's it. There's no gross and subtle. Okay. Reference number 79, second. the objects to be abandoned by the path. They accept that the mind grasping at the selfhood of person is afflictive obscurations, and the mind grasping at the selfhood of phenomena is cognitive obscurations. Okay, so objects to be abandoned by the path. What is to be abandoned along the path? Finally, by practicing the path, following the path, we have to cleanse the mind. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. We have to follow this path. To follow this path, in what way we follow the path? Is following the path or following the journey of the path by in the form of cleansing the mind. Journey of cleansing the mind. To cleanse the mind, what is to be cleansed? Is the afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. These are to be cleansed. So what constitutes the afflictive obscurations? What constitutes the cognitive obscurations, right? Okay, so this, before we go through this, I will explain this very quickly. What constitutes afflictive obscurations? Tell me, from your point of view, what constitutes afflictive obscurations? Any idea? How many of them are there? 3. What are they? The first, contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds, right? Active seeds. And all these 3 boil down to self-grasping ignorance. Very good. All these 3 boil down to meaning that all these 3, they are finally triggered by the self-grasping ignorance. Now, because that this is what is happening, anything which exterminates the self-grasping ignorance becomes the liberating factor of the path, and all other means to exterminate the contaminated karmas, afflictions separately, for attachment, meditating on the ugliness, impurities, for the anger, meditating on compassion, for the arrogance, meditating on dependent origination. These unique, the antidotes, they are the liberating, they are ripening factors, not the liberating factors. Liberating factors should be the factor to exterminate the root, right? So what is that thing which exterminates the root? The wisdom of selflessness. Wisdom of selflessness of person, wisdom of selflessness of phenomena. So it is for this reason that from Chittamatra school upwards, they always, when they speak about the objects to be abandoned by the path, objects of the path, there's always reference made to the selflessness, not much on the impermanence and misery, suffering, and so forth. It does not mean that we are not to meditate. If you are to follow the Svatantric Madhyamika, if you are to follow the Prasangika, you are not meditating impermanence, you are not meditating selflessness. This is not a connotation, right? So we are learning the most sophisticated part, and then once you know, not only once you know this, in the process of learning these things, we are also to study the Lamrim practice, and say the same thing, Lamrim practice, which was more articulated by Atisha Dipankara Shrikyana, right, in the 11th century. The same tradition was followed by Sakya, Kakyu, Nyingma, Gelu, all the traditions, they followed this. And then particularly meditation on impermanence, anicca, meditation on the suffering, dukkha. These things are tremendous emphasis you will find in the Theravada tradition also, right? Okay, so these are not to be neglected. These are so precious. The point is that because they finally, you say, we should know, we should have the blueprint of everything before we construct the building, before we construct the castle of enlightenment. We need to have the blueprint, and for the blueprint, what is most important thing is to locate what is that liberating force. We want to be liberated. We don't just want to be ripened and finished. We want to be liberated, and to be liberated, we need the ripening factors as well, right? For that matter, liberating factors are emphasized so much here. Meanwhile, we are not to neglect the ripening factors. Okay. So now the point is that afflictive obscurations and the cognitive obscurations, these are to be abandoned in the process of following the journey of Gade, Gade, Paragade, Parasamgade, Bodhiswaha. So it says, reference number 79, second, the objects to be abandoned by the path. They accept that the mind grasping at the selfhood of person is afflictive obscuration, and the mind grasping at the selfhood of phenomena is cognitive obscuration. Right? Okay. So it doesn't mean, it doesn't exclude. They say ignorance viewing impermanent phenomena as permanent. Ignorance viewing the person as permanent. Is this afflictive obscuration or cognitive obscuration? Ignorance which views the self as permanent. Is this afflictive obscuration or cognitive obscuration? Afflictive obscuration. But it says here, they accept that the mind grasping at the selfhood of person, not the permanent self. Selfhood of person is afflictive obscuration. This is the main. It is not exhaustive list. It simply indicates the main. Okay. The third line. As for the cognitive obscurations, instances such as grasping at the form and is, say now, cognitive obscuration. Cognitive obscuration, right? Cognitive obscuration, they speak about the subtle and the gross. Gross and the subtle. The gross one is, say, the ignorance pertaining to the view of the Chittamatra. Ignorance pertaining to the view of the Chittamatra. Ignorance pertaining to the gross selflessness of phenomena. What is the gross selflessness of phenomena according to this school? A selflessness of external reality, emptiness of external reality. Right? So, ignorance which views the external reality of things is considered as the gross cognitive obscuration. Right? Cognitive obscuration, they divide this into gross and subtle. So the ignorance which views the external reality of phenomena is considered as the gross cognitive obscuration, and ignorance which views things as truly existent is the subtle cognitive obscuration. You getting it? Okay. Whereas according to Sautandra, Svatandra, Madhyamika and Prasangika, these two schools, according to the next two schools, cognitive obscuration is just one. It's just one. Say the ignorance, okay, I'm going too far. Okay, let's not say like this. According to say Savatandra, Sautandra, Madhyamika. No, Sautandra, Svatandra, Madhyamika. So their cognitive obscuration is just one. That is the ignorance which views things as truly existent. It is no subtle gross. Subtle gross was separated by Yogacara, Savatandra, Madhyamika. Okay, let's read this, you will get it now. Okay, reference 79. Second, objects to be abandoned by the path. They accept that the mind grasping at the selfhood of person. What is the mind grasping at the selfhood of person? It views the self as what? As autonomous substantial real. Yes. It views the self as autonomous substantial real. That is and what about the self-grasping, the grasping which views the self as permanent, unitary, independent self? That is cognitive obscuration or afflictive obscuration? Afflictive obscuration. Good. Okay. As for the cognitive obscuration, line 3 of reference number 79, line 3. As for the cognitive obscurations, instances such as, or illustrations such as, grasping at a form and its apprehender as substantially separate. So seeing the form and the apprehender of the form as separate, substantially separate. Substantially separate, right? This is the gross cognitive obscurations, whereas instances such as grasping at aggregates and so on as truly existent. Anything, aggregates, flower, house, anything as truly existent is the subtle cognitive obscurations. You're getting it? Okay, this is according to Yogacara, Svatandra, Madhyamika. Okay, so now we have like the 10 minutes. Yes, so we will do a little bit of question answers. So there are some questions there. I'll go through them, and then the okay, I think one or two questions are already. By the way, So since we don't have much time, but these questions which I got online and also from and even if you have questions which you do not get the time to ask, feel free to write them and post them to the coordinator, and we will make it a point that all these answers are given in written and will be posted, right? Okay, so there are some questions, say, okay, one, this is a little complicated, the first one, I don't want to go too much in this, at this moment it will only complicate. The question is very good though. It says, last week it is explained that the term truly has two connotations. Number one, substance as truly. Number two, define reality out there independent of the subject as truly. Does the second connotation answer Geshe-la's earlier question on how does ultimate reality truly exist? Okay, this is a very complicated question, is a very good question, but I don't want to deal with it at this moment, right? Because this will only confuse us more for the time being at this level. But I will, of course, post this. I request Dipesh-lal to remind me to give the answer in written, and I'll post them. So those of you who like to read it, you can read this. Number two, since Svatantrikas accept Heart Sutra as a definitive teaching, does it follow that they would explain the term inherent nature used in Sutra as synonymous with true existence or true nature instead of inherent existence? This is a very good question. Say, Svatantrika Madhyamika, they accept inherent existence. They don't reject inherent existence. But in Heart Sutra, what we said is that Heart Sutra is accepted as definitive teaching of the Buddha. It is not interpretable. If it is definitive, then what Heart Sutra said is there is no inherent self. There is no inherent aggregates. So that is not literally accepted by Svatantrika. No, Chidmatras. This is what, no, this question goes to Svatantrika. Okay, by the way, Svatantrika, we did not do it at the moment, right? So it's yet to come, right? Okay, no hurry. I'm free now. But this will go there. The answer will be there. Okay. Then the number three, does one need to realize emptiness according to Prasanga in order to qualify as a Prasanga 10 holder? Okay, this is a good question. If you really want to qualify one as I'm a Prasanga 10 holder, is it required that you have to realize emptiness? I would say not necessary. Not necessary. As long as you have a very strong point that you don't accept the Svatantrika Madhyamika, the projection of the inherent existence, and you have a very strong point to defend the Prasangika Madhyamika philosophy, you can say I'm Prasanga the 10 holder is fine. But if you realize Prasanga philosophy, then automatically you become a Prasanga 10 holder. Good. Okay. So then, okay, more questions? And if you both the regular participants as well as the online participants, if you have questions, please send them through the coordinator. And even if we may not be able to do this in the class, but sure I will give the answers in written and will be put up there for everyone to see. Okay, questions? Yes, Tejala?
Geshe-la, I've heard you say that the self does not annihilate at the time of death.
I said it. Does annihilate, does not annihilate.
Does not
annihilate. This I say, yes. But I said it, no, I don't know. But I would accept that. I agree with this.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know what is the self which we are speaking about. In the sense, I mean, only thing I can think of is there is this abstract, the non-associated composite phenomena.
Wow, this is amazing. Oh yeah, you got it?
No, I don't know. So what is the self that Buddhism is saying?
Okay, it's not the Buddhism, it's what the self which I am, which the self within me which aspires for happiness. What is the self? This you're asking? It's not what the Buddhism, what the Buddhism says. If you say what the Buddhism says, which means that you are not interested in yourself. You have not started this journey. You have not started this journey that I want happiness, so what can Buddhism help me? This is not the approach then. Right? Your approach should be, I want happiness. Start from there, I want Buddhist self to be happy. right? I want the self which the Buddhism says is self, this is to be happy. Don't start with this. Start with, I want happiness, I don't want suffering. What can Buddhists, in what way Buddhism can help me, right? Help me to make this self happy. Start from there. Then it makes sense. Then it will be very helpful, right? So the question is, what is this self, right? So first we came to Buddhism saying that I want happiness. You have a very clear picture of this I, right? You have a very clear picture of this I, and you want this I to be happy. Then coming to Buddhism, then you let's talk about what this I is. Then you are saying, what is this I? Right? Okay. So now this is a very serious question. Very serious question. The more you go into this analysis, this question is bound to come, and you have already reached that level. This is so precious, right? Now the point is, when we study philosophy, don't study philosophy for the sake of the philosophy. Study philosophy for the sake of, I want happiness, I don't want suffering. Now always associate with this. I want happiness, right? Whether you're into philosophy or not philosophy, everybody, including tiny insect, right? Tiny insect, you touch it and that insect will pretend as though like he or she is dead. You're getting it? There's a very strong sense of I should not die. Even with the insect, they have this feeling, right? Okay, that feeling is the one which drives us into movements. All the movements that we engage in are all driven by this force. I should not suffer. I want happiness. You're getting it? Now, what is this I? We explore. Then, so far we have been identifying this I as so objectively real. So objectively real. Before we go into philosophy. Then the philosophers, they become very happy. The moment you say, I want happiness, then the philosophers become so happy, right? To make you get confused. And you're into philosophy, and some philosophy, they make you to solidify this self, even more solid. Right? This self is so solid, it is there, so permanent, unitary, this is the ultimate thing, right? Some philosophers make you to solidify this self. And some philosophers will make you dissolve this self, right? And then you get lost, where is this self? What is this self? Okay. But the point is, always maintain an open mind. Always maintain an open mind. It does not matter. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Right? You think that the self is so permanent, so eternal, so ultimate. It doesn't matter. But maintain an open mind. That will take you to understand what the self is. The moment you close your door of analysis, inquiry, that is the greatest failure. The moment you think that what you get is the ultimate, that is the greatest failure. Be open to all the traditions. Whoever has to offer something, just listen to the person. Right? Okay, so there, what is the self? What is the self? The different philosophers, they will give you different answers. Right? From our side, we have to begin by relating whatever you're learning with the basic quest. I want happiness. This I. Right? There's this I which we cannot deny, and which is the anchor of all your life, all your existence. The anchor is this sense of the self, this I. Now what this I is. So while you don't reject this I, that this I, which is pivotal, this is so important, this I is there. And what this I is, without rejecting it, if you're able to identify, if you're able to discover the subtle realities where your miseries dissolve, subtle realities pertaining to self, and your miseries, I don't want suffering, that suffering dissolve as you want it, and your happiness grows. This is a wonderful philosophy. In the process, your misery, it does not have any effect on your miseries. It does not have any effect on your, say, creating more happiness within you. Then this philosophy does not really suit us. But don't be too early to decide. Right? Keep exploring, keep exploring. this sense of I, and after exploring into philosophy more and more, then when you get to Prasangika's understanding, this will make you to shed into tears. It's amazing, right? It conforms to the conventionality so beautifully, and yet it rejects the very solid sense of self, which is the final factor which attracts all the miseries that will be resolved. This amazing, beautiful, beautiful philosophy, Prasangika. Yeah. Okay, by the way, we are not to start with these biases towards Prasangika. If you start with these biases, amazing Prasangika will make you run into tears. So if you start like this, then you become biased. With the biased attitude, you will never reach Prasangika, right? Okay, more questions? Yes, Tinsu Visala?
Yeshnath, in the Sri Hemuka explanation, can you explain, just repeat that with respect to the third person, the experience of Sri? So can you repeat what you said about the object and subject?
Shri, the Shri part, Shri. Okay, last one with respect to third person. Same. Okay, who was that? Who was into the non-dual experience? Mimila, yes. Okay, so Mimila was into the non-dual experience of emptiness, right? She goes into the non-dual experience of the emptiness. Okay, now say Tinsu Visala was observing Mimila, right? Oh, Mimila first attended Tibet House class in 2013, 14, 13, 12. No.
Earlier.
No, you first come to Tibet House class, not another master's course.
Yeah, it was like 2000. Many.
Okay. many. So Mimila started, right? And slowly 2017, October, November, December, then Mimila was more silent, into self-absorption, and suddenly Tinsu Visala come into the scene, was so impressed, what is she doing, right? The moment she goes into this self-absorption, the glow starts to happen. Wow, it's amazing, right? And Mimila goes into this self-absorption. So, becoming non-dual with the dissolving the phenomena, emptiness of the phenomena by dissolving the intrinsic mind, and then dissolving Mimila, intrinsic self, dissolve. Then the non-dual came into being, non-duality of the object subject. And then Tinsu Visala was constantly watching, third person was constantly watching Mimila, right? Wow, it's amazing. So I thought what she's doing. Now she is actually, her mind is non-dual, right? Her mind dissolved. The mind dissolved, which made all phenomena to dissolve. And herself, as the person, as the subject, also dissolved. There's non-duality in her experience. You are saying this, not Mimila. So Mimila, she cannot utter this, because she is non-dual there herself, right? This non-dual. Then, what is experiencing is very profound non-duality, Mimila's own non-dual wisdom. So for you, for Tinsu Visala, an outsider, the non-duality, object-subject, the non-duality became the object, and Mimila's non-dual wisdom, which realizes the non-duality, becomes a subject. For you, there's a subject-object. For you, meaning the outsider, the third person, there's a subject-object happening there within Mimila. But for Mimila, this subject-object non-duality and the non-duality as the object, and Mimila's own non-dual wisdom as the subject, there's non-duality between these two things. So this is known as how you see, okay, with respect to Mimila, the non-duality is the subject, and the non-dual wisdom as the, non-duality is the object, non-dual wisdom as the subject. These two are again non-dual. This is what you are seeing. Right? That's the meaning of Shri. First dissolve the phenomena, then dissolve the subject, then the non-duality is created. This non-duality is seen by the non-dual wisdom, and with respect to you, you see that even this non-dual wisdom is non-dual with the non-duality as the object. That's the non-dual, second non-duality, right? That's the meaning of the Shri, right? Okay. Yes, Nizala. Yes, Ajila.
Logically, Mimi is in the non-dual state, where the object and the subject, they have dissolved.
Yes.
As you put it, like the water mixing water, then it becomes the water. Now you are saying that, okay, Kaveri is saying that there is the non-duality in the, there is the duality in the non-duality of the Mimi. So that looks to be very non-logical to me.
Okay.
Because how does really see the non-duality of Mimi as duality?
Okay, this is a good question. say the Mimila's non-dual wisdom is the subject with respect to us, not with respect to Mimi. With respect to us who is observing, wow, Mimila is into deep into samadhi, right? Not just samadhi, deep samadhi into the ultimate reality. Okay, who is saying this? Mimila is not saying this. She's just absorbed, that's it. And we are saying this. We are saying this. Okay, deep into samadhi. Okay, but deep into samadhi, which? Her mind. Yes, her mind. And what's the object of that mind? So her mind is this subject. With respect to us, her mind becomes this subject. What's the object of this mind? Is the ultimate reality, emptiness. Emptiness where emptiness of the object and subject duality. That is the object. Right? So, with respect to her, object-subject duality dissolves, and her mind, seeing the non-duality, also dissolves. But with respect to us, our mind is the subject now. Our mind is the subject, and Mimila's non-dual wisdom, being non-dual with the non-duality of the object, becomes the object. So there's a duality with respect to you. With respect to us, there's a duality. Our mind is the subject, and Mimila's experience as the object. There's a duality. Now, say what Mimila did was, there were two non-dualities. One is the non-duality of the object and subject, dissolving the phenomena, dissolving the subject, non-duality. Who is seeing this? The non-dual mind is seeing this, the non-dual object in a non-dual form. So there's two non-dualities. Very profound. Yeah.
But in layman's language, is the mind, meditation of the mind, watching the mind.
No, this is much more profound than that. The mind meditating on the mind. This is meditating on conventional truth. Then mind becomes the object. When the mind becomes the object, mind is a conventional truth or ultimate truth? Conventional truth. The moment there's a conventional truth coming, duality automatically arises. Because what we learned here, according to definition, conventional reality is the object which direct valid cognition, cognizing that object, when it cognizes it, the duality is not dissolved. Duality automatically creates. Right? So that is the moment the awareness of the awareness. This is a very profound meditation, but it is not meditating on the ultimate truth. It is still within the domain of the meditation, the conventional truth. Right? This distinction must be made. It's a very profound meditation. So, seeing awareness meditation, with this being very successful, then what happens? You are aware of your own awareness. This process will still the mind. Meaning, say the turbulent water, you stir it, and the water is so murky, you just still it. How to still it? Not disturb it, just keep it there. Just keep observing it. Then what happens? The impurities settle down. Likewise, in this process of meditation, awareness of the awareness meditation, just being aware of this, then the mind, the turbulence of the mind stills. As it stills, the clarity, the true nature of the mind, conventional true nature of the mind becomes manifest. Purity comes out. Once purity comes out, then we can call it as a subjective clear light. Subjective clear light manifests. When the subjective clear light manifests, use this mind. use the subjective clear light, which is manifest, use this to see the ultimate truth of the subjective clear light. Which means, ultimate truth of the subjective clear light is the objective clear light. So use this subjective clear light to see look at the objective clear light of the subjective clear light. So once that happens, then it becomes extremely powerful. So the point is that simply awakening the subjective clear light, this is a halfway story, half story. And you employ this subjective clear light to see the objective clear light of the subjective clear light, then becomes a complete story. Right? Okay. Nilzala, you have a question? Yes.
So my question was about the Yogacara Swatantra Kammadhyamika school. They posit the self to be the mental consciousness.
Yes.
So is there a difference between the mental consciousness and the continuum of the mental consciousness?
Okay, this is a good question. Okay, this is a good question. Is there a difference between the mental consciousness and the continuum of the mental consciousness? Answer is yes. But to understand this answer, yes, as the answer, we need to have the concept of what is known as isolates and the entities. Only if you understand this, isolates and the entities, then you will very easily, this concept somehow, all of us, in fact, what I would say is that following any tradition, Buddhist, non-Buddhist, medical, or say the environmental, or the physics, engineering, any discipline that you follow, if you know this concept of the entities and isolates, that can make things so easy in every discipline. Many concepts, because say the reality, every discipline is trying to explain the reality, part of reality, and the reality is so complex that at times you see them mix, at times you see them separate. The moment you see these are separate, you end up in contradiction. The moment you see them as mixed, you see there's a contradiction, right? So this is the contradiction, which is a part of the reality. But is there a contradiction? Really, there's a contradiction there? There's no contradiction there. This contradiction is because our mind cannot separate this subtlety there. This subtlety we do not have this, as long as we do not have this mind to see the subtle nuance there, we always get them mixed up. Right? So this can be separated, cleared by understanding the concept of the entities and the isolates. So that will help us to clear, and then all these problems will be solved. Say the mental continuum, continuum of the mental consciousness and the mental consciousness. To distinguish these two things, this is very easy when it comes to. Otherwise, generally speaking, we will say these two are just same. We will say mental consciousness is same. Say when you're very happy, my mental consciousness is happy. So this is mental continuum means the moment you say continuum, say there should be three things: the past, present, and the future. All these in row, in one line. Yesterday's my mind, today's my mind, and tomorrow's mind. So there's a continuum, right? The moment we speak about a mental continuum, the mental continuum, we keep in mind 3 moments minimum into our mind, right? The beginning, middle, and end. Only then the continuum makes sense. Whereas when you speak about the mental consciousness, without qualifying this with the continuum of mental consciousness, without qualifying that with the continuum, you just say the mental consciousness, then it's not necessary for you to conceive of the idea of the beginning, middle, and end, right? You can just think of mental consciousness in its own form. So what are you experiencing now? This is mental consciousness. I'm thinking of my mother. This is mental consciousness. Yeah. Okay, yes, the Bijla.
Well, the truth definition that we learned today, where would one put inferential cognition? Because in both ultimate and conventional, the word is direct valid.
So inferential cognition is not necessary. The definition of truth is not necessary.
It's a comprehensive division. There's nothing besides the two truth. So if I say valid...
Oh, inferential cognition, it falls under conventional truth.
But if I say, let's say, valid inferential cognition of emptiness.
Yes.
Right? So...
There's a duality there. Duality between object and subject.
But my question was more related because the word direct comes, that the direct valid cognition cognizing it.
Yes.
It doesn't say...
Inferential cognition cognizing it. Because for inferential, there's always duality. For inferential, there's always duality. Yes.
Maybe I'm not clarifying. So if I say conventional truth, the definition here is an object which is cognized by direct valid cognition, cognizing it with the appearance of duality.
Yes.
So it's limiting the definition. It appears to me that it's limiting only to the direct valid cognition.
No, definition, when you say definition, limits means, so this is how we should understand it. The definition limits, if I say that, how would you define a flower? The flower, okay, how would you define, let's say, how would you define the conventional truth? Or ultimately, the conventional truth? I may say that an object which a direct value cognition cognizes, cognizing the flower, cognizes it with duality. If this is how I define conventional truth, I limit it only to flower. Limit means that what this object, what the definiendum should be covering, you are not able to cover all, you're limited. Whereas a part of the definition, it doesn't matter, right? The thing is, we have to think about, when you say limit, not limit, or it covers all, should not be confined to the part of the definition. It should be the whole thing, definiendum, and what is covered under that. Instances of the definition. The point is that, okay, so with this, in fact, this definition is very comprehensive definition. Instead of the definition of the ultimate truth, the conventional truth, given by the author in the Chedamatra context, right? Because both the definitions are accepted by almost all the scholars pertaining to Chedamatra, Svatanta Manima, Prasangika, right? But with the other one, you have to qualify that with a small, say, defense. Whereas this definition, and this is very comprehensive. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? If there's any present question? If not, we will do the end dedication prayer. Okay, page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, generous Satan's and Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Kanre Rave, Shingan Su, Pendan Deva Madu Chungwe. Gyatso Yin, Shabe Side Bardu Dengyuroji. Just as the brave Manjushri and some of the Mantra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Chambel Bavu Chedara Kemba Ta Kundo Sambo Tenyan Dejendo Deda Gungi Jesu Daloj Yewa Deda Damje Rabdu. I dedicate all these fruits of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Som Shebe Gewa Tamje Ge Ngawa Khanla Chodo Ngabai Age Geve Zawa Degun Ya Sambo Chuchi Rabdo Ngobaraki. So there's a typo here, the last one, we have to change it. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not erased, arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanjo Semjo Riamboche Magya ke gyoro che ke ba nya ba me ba ya ko ne kondo pe ba shu. As long as space remains, as long as tension legs remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into their enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the praise of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I gently demand a full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem, I confess the negativities individually, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the precept of both the Dharma and the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus of the Tenzin Gyatso, we subjugate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. To nye nyingje sondo jobe alam, chejere selse kanchen tendu chana pemo Tenzin Gyatso la, solwa depso shendun hundro sho. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. Malam lobe geve dembala kuwe najo sujen sumede samjura nyembe juba maluba chosum dembe sene juguruji. In my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Okay, good night.